ZIP 80526 is a well-established part of Fort Collins with long-term residential stability. This ZIP consistently matters to realtors because demand here stays structurally present. For realtors, 80526 reflects a market shaped by lifestyle, education, and access. It remains a core Fort Collins ZIP that supports steady transaction activity. Buyers are drawn to 80526 for proximity to CSU, trails, and West Side amenities. That baseline desirability anchors pricing even during slower cycles. Geographically, 80526 sits on the west and southwest side of Fort Collins. It connects residential neighborhoods with foothill access and major corridors. On a Fort Collins home value map, 80526 clusters in the city's mid to upper pricing band. It sits between central Fort Collins and open space to the west. Housing in 80526 includes established single-family homes, townhomes, and some condos. Most neighborhoods were built across multiple cycles, not all at once. Current home values in 80526 remain elevated relative to pre-2020 levels. Prices reflect long-term appreciation rather than short-term speculation. Recent pricing trends show modest cooling rather than sharp decline. This indicates normalization instead of structural weakness. Compared to the last peak, values in 80526 are flattening. The market is transitioning from acceleration to balance. Year-over-year price movement has been mixed and narrow. That range signals price discovery rather than volatility. Homes in 80526 are taking longer to sell than during the peak years. Days on market now allow for more measured negotiations. Inventory has increased compared to prior lows. Buyers now have more active choices within the ZIP. Price reductions are present, but not dominant. They function as a correction tool, not a distress signal. Together, inventory, days on market, and price cuts define leverage. In 80526, leverage is more balanced than buyer or seller controlled. State and regional housing forecasts point towards slower growth, not reversal. For 80526, this supports continued stabilization. Affordability remains the primary constraint in this ZIP. Monthly ownership costs are driven by prices and interest rates. Rental activity exists due to CSU proximity. However, owner-occupant demand remains the dominant force. Buyers in 80526 face more options and less urgency than before. Pricing discipline now matters more than speed. Sellers benefit from strong location fundamentals, but pricing accuracy is critical in the current environment. For realtors, data interpretation now drives outcomes. Explaining leverage and pricing context is essential in 80526. ZIP 80526 is served by Poudre School District. School boundaries continue to influence neighborhood demand patterns. Local access includes Roland Moore Park, Rossboro Park, and nearby foothill trails. These amenities remain embedded in buyer decision-making. Residents use City of Fort Collins recreation facilities and community centers. Daily life here blends suburban structure with outdoor access. Shopping and dining cluster along Harmony Road and West Drake Road. These corridors support convenience rather than destination retail. ZIP 80526 reflects a stabilized Fort Collins housing market. Long-term desirability remains intact as conditions rebalance. This ZIP rewards data-driven interpretation over assumptions. Ongoing monitoring is key as the market continues to normalize.